Hey guys, Mana here, bringing you another episode of More Dots. This is episode 2, and it's probably the fourth or fifth time I've recorded it. As you can see, I've uploaded the video pretty late today. I like to get it out a lot earlier, but every time I've recorded the audio so far, there's just been a ton of background noise, and it's just terrible. It's either been from the rain, because it's been raining here for a couple days in a row. It's either been that or this volleyball. Basically, like a bunch of high school female teams are playing volleyball right next to where I live. I guess it's volleyball season or something, but pretty much anytime someone scores, there's these loud horns and whistles and people cheering, and it gets all over the audio, and it just makes it unbearable for me and probably for you guys too. So hopefully this time I can record this without a hitch. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so once again, if I totally mess up your name, I'm really sorry. So if you feel like you got a hard name to pronounce, please let me know in a private message. So let's get on to the first question. Alright, so first question from Stored Kids. Hey man, just watched the guide, referring to the destruction guide. Is Fel Synergy way better than Demonic Embrace? With Demonic Embrace, you get more healing from the Health Stone, I guess. Alright, so here's the deal with those two talents. Uh, Having 2 out of 2 Fel Synergy guarantees that your imp is not going to die, because you're healing him so friggin' much. Um, but a lot of times you don't need 2 out of 2. It's just recommended because uh, there's not that much that's really better, I guess I should say. Demonic Embrace will actually increase your DPS ever so slightly if you have even just 1 point in it, because when you life tap for a percentage of your health. So the more health you have, the bigger your life taps, and the bigger your life taps, the less life taps you have to do, and the more time you can spend actually DPSing. So if your imp is never in any danger at all, then you should take 1 point out of Fel Synergy and put it in Demonic Embrace. It'll be a slight DPS increase, very slight, which is why it's almost never really worth it, and you're better off just keeping that imp safe. Alright, next question from iPod and Mac Maniac. I have recently gotten my Warlock to 85 and have gotten some nice heroic gear. I love Demonology and really want to play it, but I am not in a raiding guild, so I find myself in pugs. I get basically told that I should respec, and I know other specs do more damage, but in one of your videos you say that people are more worried about damage than actually getting the boss down. My question is, should I spec, or should I respec, or should I play what I love? Alright, so the main problem here is that you find yourself pugging a lot, which is obviously not optimal. Um, don't really listen to it, don't listen to people in pugs, it doesn't matter. A lot of times, if it's in a heroic, you're never going to see these people again. It's just people talking out of their asses, basically. It doesn't matter. Just keep playing the spec that you enjoy playing and keep getting better at it, because that's the important thing. Demonology is a competitive spec. Just keep getting better at it, and you will find yourself being competitive in the damage meters. But yeah, just forget about it. If it's something like in a Baron and Hold or something, again, like it's just a pug. Don't worry too much about it. All right. So with that said, I do recommend that your off spec is either Affliction or Destruction. Um, it's important that you have a strong off spec because a lot of times you're going to have to respec for certain fights, especially if you're in a raiding guild. They might ask you to switch specs for, again, for certain fights. Um, it's an important skill to be able to have a strong off spec when you're already that good at your main. Um, but yeah, like if you're in a pug, like a pug heroic or something, and they tell you to switch to destruction, I would never tell you to do that. That's no, just keep your main spec there. There's no reason to change. So yeah, to basically sum it up, just play the spec you love, and if you happen to be in a raiding guild that asks you to switch specs for certain fights, then in that case you probably should be doing it. All right, so next question from Meebo2. Uh, could you make a basic leveling tutorial on warlocks? And he or she specifically asks me to not dodge the question. Um, I guess this is going to sound a little dodgy, but they're all good, to be honest. I can't tell you which is the best one. At those levels, it really doesn't really matter. and I don't think anybody really uses simulations at those levels to tell you which is the best one. Um, if I could recommend one, I guess I would recommend Demonology up until you have access to either Haunt or Chaos Bolt or Metamorphosis. At which point, just choose whichever one you like the most. But even then, like I would still say you should just level up with whichever one you want to use the most, or whichever one appeals to you the most. Alright, so next question from Sven Videos. Could you discuss Soul Swap and when to use it? I would friggin' love to, because I love Soul Swap so much. It is my favorite spell in the game. I just want to find whoever Blizzard came up with Soul Swap, man. I want to high five him into another dimension. Soul Swap is so good. Basically, it's an affliction spell. You use Soul Swap. It'll take all the dots you have on your target and it'll transfer them over to whoever you use Soul Swap on next. If you have Group of Soul Swap, it won't transfer them. It'll copy them onto whoever you use Soul Swap on next. Alright, so Soul Swap, you're going to be using this whenever you have more than one target and you're not AoEing. So let's say you're on Valion and Thoralion, just Soul Swap your main target and exhale on the secondary and keep your dots up there, and you're just going to be doing so much more damage than you would be if you weren't using Soul Swap. Let's say you're on the Twilight Ascendant Council on the first phase, with Veludius and Ignatius. Ignatius puts his shield up, just Soul Swap Veludius and exhale on Ignatius. There you go. You don't have to put up an Unstable Affliction, Corruption, and in this case you should be using Bane of Agony most likely, and Bane of Agony, because soul swapping is just so much faster and so much more efficient. So yeah, if you're Affliction, definitely you should be using Soul Swap whenever possible. It's such a good spell, grow to know it, grow to love it, take care of it, feed it whenever possible, don't you dare let it die, or I will hunt you down. Alright, so Barry G12 has the final question, and it's basically two questions. The first one is, I was wondering what the ideal haste rating cap is, and the second one is basically, he's asking me what stats should he be stacking more. That second question is one that I get a lot, like in private messages, just a ton of those. So I chose this one because it also had that haste question, which I do want to talk about. So I'll answer that one pretty much for everybody, and that second one is going to be not just for him, but for everybody that keeps asking me what the best stats to stack are in certain cases. All right, so the deal with haste is that we don't have a haste cap. What we have is multiple haste plateaus or thresholds. So what this means is that once you reach a certain haste rating, you're going to get an additional dot tick, and that's when you reach a plateau. So once you reach these plateaus, the value of haste is going to drop a little bit because it's going to take so much more haste rating to reach the next plateau. My advice, my opinion, don't worry about this. If you're not at the cutting edge of rating, if you're not constantly getting best in slot pieces, you should not worry about this too much. You should just follow your stat priorities and gear accordingly, and reforge accordingly as well. The only time when this should matter is if you're getting those best in slot pieces. But if you're really trying to get just the most out of all your stats, then you should be using Simulation Craft to find out your individual stat priorities, because they do change from player to player depending on where their stats are at the moment. So I hope that answers both questions. Sorry if it doesn't. I think it should, though. Basically, anybody that's asking me about what stats they should worry about, just honestly just follow your stat priorities. And if you're really trying to get the most out of every stat, just use Simulation Craft. I'll include a link below to Simulation Craft. It's not hard to use. There's guides on it. I'll include a link to some of the guides as well. WoW has some excellent guides on it. I think that should about do it for this week's More Dots. Again, I apologize for having it up so late. Even in this video so far in this recording, there's a couple of cases of some pretty bad background noise. I couldn't do anything about it this time. If I kept trying to make the audio perfect, I just wouldn't be able to get it done. And yeah, I absolutely have to get this done as fast as possible because I'm actually raiding in a couple of hours. And that's a couple of hours from when I'm actually still recording the audio. So by the time this is up on YouTube, I'll probably be raiding. So I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, I think I got all the questions I wanted to. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Send me a private message. I'll try to get to all the best ones for next episode of More Dots. This week's guide is going to be on Thursday. I'm going to be talking about just the general things that people need to work on to maximize their DPS. I think it's going to be a pretty good one. I hope you guys check it out. As always, if you guys enjoyed what you saw, feel free to like and subscribe. And later, guys.